eliminate my power!
It's hard to believe that it's been nearly 5 months since I made a video on what arguably used to be the most powerful individual weapon in Fortnite's history, but that had since become a shadow of its former glory. That weapon was the Silenced SMG, and that weapon has now been reintroduced into the game after being vaulted for over 4 months, replacing the normal SMG. In the last video I made on the Silenced SMG, I said that in its current state it just didn't have a place in the game. And shortly thereafter, Epic Games did decide to put it in the vault. So today what I wanted to do is go over whether it is good in the current state of the game, while also comparing it to the compact SMG and the weapon it replaced. Currently, the Silenced SMG comes in 3 variants, common, uncommon, and rare, replacing the same 3 variants of the normal SMG. The 2 big differences to notice here are that the Silenced SMG has higher damage per shot, but a slower fire rate of only 9 bullets per second compared to the normal SMG, which fired 12 bullets per second. Compared to the compact SMG, which remains in the game, the fire rates are a little bit closer, with the compact SMG firing 10 bullets per second, and the damage gap is also slightly closer, but the Silenced SMG still has the high ground in that as well. Another big difference to note is that the compact SMG bolsters a higher magazine size of 40, but because of that also has a slower reload speed. In case you were wondering, all 3 of these weapons also have the same draw speed. Now let's take a look at the accuracy of these weapons. Right here is the accuracy of the blue normal SMG and blue Silenced SMG when hip firing and strafing. I put a yellow line across the top of the less accurate weapon so you can more clearly see the differences in accuracy. As you can see, the blue Silenced SMG starts out much more accurate, but by the time they reach 7 bullets, which is the point where the accuracy remains the same for the rest of the magazine, the Silenced SMG is much more similar, although still slightly more accurate. Now what about the compact SMG? Here's the purple compact SMG compared to the blue Silenced SMG, and as you can see, again the Silenced SMG starts out more accurate, but by the end the purple compact SMG is actually more accurate. Of course, the same thing happens with the gold compact SMG, but the gold SMG is favored even more at the end because, as we know, weapons become more accurate the higher the rarity. Now that's hipfire accuracy, but what about when aiming down sights? When ADSing, the blue Silenced SMG is much more accurate than the normal SMG the entire time. And when it comes to the gold compact SMG, the Silenced SMG remains more accurate the entire time as well. At this point, you should be asking yourself how often you aim down sights with a submachine gun. As most of you know, I started out on PS4, and when on PS4, I found myself ADSing a lot more with an SMG, but when I switched over to PC, I found that I didn't ADS nearly as much with SMGs. On top of that, while there is a big advantage in aiming down sights with the Silenced SMG, you do have to keep in mind how severely all submachine guns drop off in damage in Fortnite. At just 4 planks, which is about 20 meters, all SMGs start damage drop off and stop dropping off at 8 planks, at which point they're doing an abysmal 40% of their original damage. So while the Silenced SMG does have a significant advantage in aiming down sights accuracy, the area in which you can take advantage of it is quite small. This damage drop off applies to all aspects of the weapon as well, so at 8 planks and beyond you will only be doing 9 damage per shot to opponents' builds. As stated by the name of the weapon, the Silenced SMG does have a silencer on it, but as we know with silenced weapons, you stop being able to hear them at 10 planks and beyond, and the Silenced SMG is only really viable from like 5 planks and closer. And of course, this weapon is going to constantly be combined with a shotgun, so there's really no hiding your position when using this weapon. The reason I use planks as the main way to measure distance is because it's so much easier to visualize in-game scenarios when you see these numbers as compared to just meters. Think of only being 8 floor pieces away from someone. Even in Tilted Towers, which is the place where the most close range engagements occur, there are still a lot of times when you see people 8 planks away or further. So in those situations, keeping in mind the damage drop off, you want to make sure that you have a better long range weapon, such as an assault rifle, that is able to do decent damage to your opponents. This insane damage drop off on SMGs is what prompted me to make the sad story of the Silenced SMG video to begin with, because the Silenced SMG wasn't always this way. It used to have incredible range, making it a weapon that for a very short period of time was better than the Gold Scar. Once it became nerfed, it seemed like a horrible weapon because back then the normal SMG was doing over 20 damage per shot, meaning that it required the same number of bullets for both weapons to kill a 100 health opponent, and with the normal SMG firing 3 more bullets per second than the Silenced SMG, you can see why so many people preferred the normal SMG. But in the current state of the game, if a normal SMG were still unvaulted, it could be argued that the Silenced SMG is potentially better due to the better accuracy. But at the same time, people could also argue that the normal SMG is better due to the faster fire rate. Here's a chart I made a long time ago when talking about the debate of the normal SMG being better than the compact SMG. The argument was that turbo building, which is represented by Sonic, made it possible for bullets to more easily slip in on turtling opponents when you had a faster firing weapon such as the normal SMG. Combining the latency of the servers with the speed of turbo building meant that in very specific situations, the normal SMG could potentially slip in a bullet where the compact SMG would not have been able to. And that same theory can be applied to the Silenced SMG and the normal SMG, as well as now the Silenced SMG and the compact SMG. However, the conditions for that happening with the Silenced SMG and compact SMG is even more unlikely since their fire rates only differ by 1 bullet per second. So the debate now becomes, is the compact SMG worth sacrificing the damage of the Silenced SMG in order to gain a 1 bullet per second faster fire rate as well as a bigger magazine size of 40? That is an insanely tough question. The fire rate isn't a big factor in my opinion, but I think that the magazine size of 40 can be a significant advantage. Being able to have 10 more bullets to put pressure on your opponent before you have to reload can be the difference between killing them and them surviving. Those 2 to 3 seconds of reload time give your opponent the chance to recover and potentially get out of situations where you had the advantage, such as they were turtling and you were putting pressure on them with an SMG. So those 10 extra bullets give you the ability to potentially do more damage to your opponent before you have to reload and give them a chance to counter. So the question is, which do you value more? Do you value the better accuracy of the Silenced SMG, or do you value the higher magazine size of the compact SMG? Because the difference in damage and fire rate have these weapons going back and forth in terms of how fast their time to kill is. So the two main differences are their magazine size and their accuracy. For me personally, I prefer the compact SMG. The increased magazine size is more important to me because the opponents I go up against often build immediately after being shot. So being able to have a weapon that has a larger magazine size allows me to be able to destroy their builds and then still have enough bullets left to finish them off. In that situation, as we learned from previously in the video, the gold compact SMG is also the more accurate weapon when hip firing long term. So as someone who's on PC and prefers to hip fire my submachine guns, I'm also taking advantage of having better accuracy after I destroy someone's build and then try to finish them off. But that is just my personal preference. I could genuinely see a lot of you who are on console preferring the Silenced SMG because of how well the ADS accuracy combines with aim assist. But overall, I think the Silenced SMG is a good weapon in the current state of the game. It's nowhere near the level that it was for a very short period of time, but it is still a good, viable weapon. I'm not sure why Epic Games decided to rotate out the normal SMG and bring in the Silenced SMG, because in my opinion they are two very similar weapons, so maybe they just felt like there was a reason for some change. Anyway, that is all that I have for this video. I hope that you found it informative. If you're new here and like this type of content, feel free to subscribe. If you'd like to support me when spending V-Bucks or buying games in the Epic Games Store, you can do so by using my code Flamm. If you made it to this point in the video, thank you so much, I truly do appreciate it, and I will catch you all in my next video.